I don't know if you saw this, but Stephen King's having a bad day. I don't know if you saw.
Poor dude. So you mean the day ends in Y?
Yeah. Officially ends in Y.
Oh, this I gotta see.
Yeah, Stephen King of all people has said, no, I am out. I want Joe Biden. He said, and I quote, Joe Biden has been a fine president, but it's time for him, in the interest of the America he so clearly loves, to announce he will not rerun for election. Stephen King said that.
This is in the wake of Nate Silver saying effectively the same thing the day before.
This is the Democrats' talking points are out.
He's shedding liberals. It's like watching a bird that's like molting all of its feathers off, basically.
It's so weird. Did Nate Silver tweet it?
No, Nate Silver had an interview slot, and he made, I think, not Substack. He doesn't use that, but he made a blog post actually about Joe Biden. I covered it this morning. Yeah.
Yeah,
but he also had a blog post too.
Well, Nate Silver, I think, was effectively memed into oblivion after the 2016 election.
Yeah.
Like 538 used to be a company that had a lot of prestige. And then, after getting the 2016 election so incredibly wrong, it's hard to take him too seriously. But you have
Lichtman will be next. Oh, can you imagine? Oh, did you see his cope?
Oh, the cope has been, I mean, what I don't understand is, like, and we've talked about this, who the heck do they think is going to take over? Why calling for him to step down for who?
Well, Lichtman's not calling for him to stand down. He's the 13 keys dude. It's just that if you look at his schema for gauging who's going to win, it's so subjective. I know exactly what's going to happen if Donald Trump wins. He's going to say, well, I didn't factor in, because he's planning on Biden winning. I didn't factor in the fact that Donald Trump technically was an incumbent too. You know that it's coming. That poor cope.
They'll say that, or they'll say, well, I mean, who could have possibly predicted the disastrous debate?
Yeah.
You know, and those pesky debate questions and those the dementia allegedly.
Clearly CNN had it in for Joe Biden.
Yeah, well, even Joe Biden this morning called out the quote Democrat elites. I wonder what he meant by that.
In other words, he's his own worst enemy.
He did an interview on Morning Joe where they had him all hopped up on goofballs.
Morning Joe Biden.
Yeah, they had him all hopped up on goofballs, and he was like sounding angry for no reason. He's like, the Democratic elites.
That's the thing. They shouldn't have had him on in the morning. They need to wait a couple of extra hours for the addies to kick in. That's the only problem.
This is him in the Morning Joe, 40-second clip.
Oh, yeah.
The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. And again, I'm here for two reasons, pal. One, to rebuild the economy for hardworking middle-class people, give everybody a shot. Just a straight shot. Everybody gets a fair chance, number one. Number two, remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me at the convention.
I think they will challenge him at the convention.
The weird thing is that most of the party elite has circled the wagons for him. It's more wonks, like media wonks and people like Silver or something like that. People that aren't even in political power, they're the ones that are opposing him.
Well, and it's in a way a hedge too. Like
he's lost.
Well, I told him he should drop out, and that's why my polls are wrong, and that's why he lost the election. I tried to say.
It's hard to tell exactly who he's railing against here, though. There are only a couple of Democratic members of Congress that actually oppose his run. There's like I think 2 or 3. Yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, 4. Okay.
Yeah, it's 4,
and including Nadler, and nobody cares about that.
Yeah, nobody. It's not like
if anything, that's an endorsement of Joe Biden.
Yeah, you have
Nadler doesn't like you. Okay, you can't be all that bad.
You have Nadler, Adam Smith, Mark Takano, and Joseph Morell, and then I think that adds to Hakeem Jeffries.
I think, and people have heard of exactly one of these.
None of these people. Yeah, Hakeem Jeffries maybe because he's the minority leader.
Where's the party elite opposing you? Because last I knew, Nancy Pelosi gave glowing support to you and said that you were a great guy, and Chuck Schumer came out and said the same thing.
Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, anybody with any real cachet has circled around Joe Biden. I mean, hell, you could even argue Gavin Newsom, which he isn't in the Senate or the House, but he has repeatedly shilled for Joe Biden, saying, "Hey, I have no interest in running. Joe's our guy. Joe's our guy."
That's the funny part, is that technically they're not wrong. I've analyzed this before. Imagine they cycle him out. You're effectively ignoring tens of millions of Democratic primary voters. You're telling them, yes, you voted for this one person, but you're not allowed to have them, even though they effectively ran unopposed. It would be a terrible idea to cycle them out. Ironically, they're better off with Joe Biden.
There isn't.
They're stuck with him.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we've talked about now for a week. Like, there is still. I don't care how many of these like limp Democrats come out that nobody knows to say he needs, like, until Nancy Pelosi says it. I don't care. Nancy Pelosi.
Joe Schmo from Kokomo says Joe Biden should drop out. What?
Yeah, the 437th House seat guy from some district nobody's ever heard of is spoken out strongly against Joe Biden. Oh, okay. Like, they got a day's worth of headlines, and then that's it. And then they torpedoed their career because Joe Biden's not
from
going
Kansas.
Out. Yeah.
And can you imagine he does win re-election, how screwed these people are, by the way? Because he's got a penchant for going after his political enemies.
I would argue that he's got more than a puncher's chance. He's got a puncher's chance at winning. It's still a coin flip, I think. Like, it still could go any way.
He could win, but I think it's like a 90% chance that Trump wins re-election.
It's a long time between now and November, and there's a lot of things that could happen, including, more about these reports, that coincidentally leak out about his Parkinson, or he met with a Parkinson's doctor.
That one's irrelevant. I think it'll be more about the September debate. If he has another freeze up moment, so he like blubs the next debate, I think that'll be a disaster for his campaign. But by then it's officially too late. Like, in half the states, you would no longer be on the ballot if you swapped him out. So there's nothing they can do about it.
Well, that, and like you said, his debate was so bad in July or June, or was it July? End of June, early July, that he has to do it again. He can't blow off the September debate. He has to do it.
And do we really expect that it'll be better than the first round by an appreciable amount?
The only thing he can do is
shoot
try
him
to
full
move
of
it.
Panties, I guess.
Yeah, they could shoot him up with all sorts of goofballs. They could try to make the debate earlier in the day, which Trump will never agree to. They can't. I mean, I don't know what you do. He had almost no coherent moments in that 90 minutes. He had nothing.
I've watched almost every presidential debate going back since the beginning of televised debates. And people keep saying, well, Biden has the same problem that Ronald Reagan has, man. They had questions about his cognition too. So I went back earlier And I watched the debate v. Mondale, the one where Ronald Reagan had a couple of funny quips, the one that's on YouTube. And there's no equivalency, not even close. There were a couple of times when Ronald Reagan stumbled over his words. That's basically it. That was the threshold for having a cognitive problem back in 1984. You stumbled over your words a couple times and you misremembered one date or something like that. I can't find any evidence of Biden's cognition at all within his debate against Trump. It's completely night and day. And people are making that equivalency like, whoa, the media has questioned cognition of presidents before. Yeah, but I mean, before when they were questioning it, it was nonsense. This time it actually makes sense. That's the difference.
Well, none of them were saying that they beat Medicare. They had like a couple of gaffes, which can happen in any debate. Like they
made the same claims. They made the same claims. They claimed that Reagan would destroy Social Security. He didn't. They claimed he would axe Medicaid. He didn't. They claimed he would axe Medicare. He didn't. They claimed that he would slash apart every federal bureau. He didn't. He froze their budgets for a couple of years. Mild reformer, same as Trump. Basically, Donald Trump's fourth term would be the fourth term of, second term would be the fourth term of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could see that being the case until anybody, like we said, until anybody of note, like Stephen King coming out and saying that is, hilarious. But Stephen King doesn't command any influence. He doesn't like, nobody listens to what Stephen King has to say before they go into voting.